I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
I'm not even supposed to be here today! Oh, fuck you!
Come on, you want me to drive? You're supposed to be suicidal. Remember, I'll
Anybody
drive.
a drive?
Get in the car.
Fuck me in the fucking ass. Fuck you, you fucking stupid cunt.
What? What? I'm sorry. You mean to tell me when 5 years ago, you get a great, amazing first film, and this is how we follow it up? With not just any shitty sequel, a musical sequel of all things, and forgetting that Todd Phillips clearly did not learn his lesson from the very last time he tried to make sequels to one of his films. Didn't learn with making sequels to this, and didn't learn with making sequels to this. Yeah. I don't need to even say who I am for this, because this is the intro, and most of you pretty much know my name for this video, so I'm not really gonna say it, but I am still here with an epic rant for what easily would have to be the third worst movie of this year. Man and Women Borderlands are still worse, but I would definitely put this in third place, because I hated this movie this much. That is going to be for none other than Joker, FOLIE, DEUX, or some French title. I don't know what it is, but it's a stupid fucking title. FOLIE, whatever the fuck. Joker 2. I'll call Joker 2. Because this is basically a sequel to Joker. So, what is the plot of Joker, FOLIE, DEUX before I go into details? Well, apparently, the Joker is now a dual identity in this version. And so Arthur Fleck, who's now in Arkham Asylum, meets Harley Quinn while incarcerated. And you think, hey, maybe this movie, he's gonna escape, and both him and Harley Quinn are gonna rule the crimes of Gotham together. They're gonna basically make Gotham their own little crime ring, their own little crime world. No, you don't. Hell, the trailers even lead you to believe that's what it's gonna be about. And it's gonna end with Arthur escaping and going to rule all of Gotham with crime and pretty much kick off all the Crusaders that Batman fights. Maybe lead up to the last shot like Bruce Wayne. You think maybe there'd be hints of him becoming Batman. Maybe they touch up on stuff like that. If they're gonna do a sequel, which I wish they didn't, but still, maybe it'd be about those things. You don't get that with this movie. But how is this made? Well, guess what, guys? You know, when this movie came out, this was supposed to be a standalone film. This was a movie that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Todd Phillips like, I don't want to make a sequel, and neither did Joaquin Phoenix, really. But then, of course, like, somehow later, Todd Phillips was clearly having second thoughts on what he said, and decided, maybe I'll do a sequel, I don't know. And guess what? They confirmed it. like around June 2022 when the pandemic was kind of coming to an end. Todd Phillips like, alright, I take back what I said. I'm gonna do a sequel anyway. But Todd Phillips, what about your sequels that I hate over? Who cares? I think people have gotten over that stuff now. So I think I can make a sequel to this. Except what's different is, I'll make sure this one kills the franchise. So they announced the cast later. Joaquin Phoenix, obviously Joaquin Phoenix was going to come back, and Lady Gaga and the Zazie Beetz was also going to come back, but Lady Gaga would join the cast later on that year. Filming took place in New York City, Los Angeles from December 2022 to April 2023. And so, Joker, FOLIE, DEUX, some stupid title, Joker 2, premiered at the 81st Venice Film Festival on September 4th, 2024, after the film was shot and marketed 5 years since that first one came out, and would be released in the United States to the public on October 4th, 2024. I will say 2014, that was 10 fucking years ago. And guess what, guys? You want to know? You know when this movie made $1 billion at the box office, and originally was the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time before Deadpool and Wolverine overtook it earlier this year? This movie was not just a critical bomb with critics. This movie was also a massive fucking flop at the box office. Like, the box office. This has only made $58 million domestically after an opening weekend of $37 million. This got a $200 million budget. And this only made $204 million worldwide. No, not domestically, worldwide. I'm not kidding around. Go to Box Office Mojo for proof. This film is losing Warner Brothers money. This film, I've never seen a sequel get this much fucking backlash since Star Wars The Last Jedi, since Halloween Ends. Wow. It's that terrible. It did so... In fact, yeah, guess what, guys? Interesting fact. It did so terrible that guess what? Next weekend, the unrated horror film Terrifier 3 beat its ass at the box office the next weekend. Talk about embarrassing. It must feel so embarrassing when an unrated horror film whose earlier predecessors were limited released and was released as an unrated movie, that when something like that beats your own shitty sequel at the box office the next weekend, that's when you know you've really fucking screwed up. Ouch. Terrifier 3 killed this movie's ass quick. So as for my reaction, yeah, I reviewed Joker. It's my favorite movie of 2019, one of my all-time favorite films for DC and of all time, but I never ever wanted to have a sequel because this only works as a standalone movie. It was never meant to set up a franchise. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And plus, y'all remember the last time when Todd Phillips tried to give any sequels to one of his films. And which also, by the way, was a film that closed out its decade. This closed out the 2000s. This closed out the 2010s. And both films got praise from many when they came out, and they were huge hits at the box office. And people really loved them. Difference is, though, I love this movie more. This movie, I love, but it's more of an 8 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10. But knowing Warner Brothers, they announced a sequel, and even the worst thing is, they decided it was going to be a fucking musical of all things. When I heard it was going to be a musical, I was like, what? I'm sorry, what now? It's not just a sequel being a bad idea, but literally being a musical to a film that was not even a musical. I was having fears for this film. And guess what? My fears were true. It immediately sucked as soon as it released. And I just watched it now. Even I thought this film fucking sucked. Wow, like just about nobody loved this film. Everybody loved this movie. Nobody loved this sequel. Nobody did. Like, hell, several of my friends have said that they're not watching this because they've heard how terrible it was. And guess what? the ones who did go see this, the YouTube buddies I had who did go watch this movie, all of them hated it. Several YouTube critics like the list hated it. Cody Leach watched this movie, he gave it a skip it, he despised it. Tyrone Magnus hated this fucking film. Rabber After Life sure shit hated this fucking film. Fabio sure hated this film. Guess what? One of my closest YouTube friends, Ryan Connor, he did his watch for everybody's benefits. Guess what? Even he thought this film was bullshit. Literally. And yeah, guys. Why do you think I went to go watch The Wild Robot instead? It was between watching that or having to sit through this. That's why. I was gonna wait for this to hit streaming or just come to the cheap theater. There's this like, sometimes movies come to this cheap theater that's kind of near my house, so I just went to go watch that because that way I could just get the movie watch done easier and not have to sit through such shitty connections sometimes when it comes to streaming, and I'm not having to wait 3 hours to finish the film so I can finally do the review. I figure that sometimes watching a bad movie in the cinema is easier because at least you don't have to get through connection problems and you can actually get the watch done and then you don't have to think about it. Yeah. Joker, FOLIE, DEUX. Easily the top 3 worst of this year for sure. So ironic. This movie is the best movie of 2019. This film, for me, is the 3rd worst of 2024. Like, I am so angry. Like, this movie was such a gritty, intense psychological thriller that explored the themes of mental illness and societal breakdown. It's this raw, dark film that didn't need gimmicks or unnecessary changes to make a statement. So why in the world did they apparently think we not just needed a Joker 2, but we want to go la 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 into a musical? For this. Yeah. This is basically not just that, it's a slap in the face to the fans, a middle finger to the fans of the original film. Like, when we watch this film, we don't want to see a bunch of dancing and singing. Like, we want the unsettling atmosphere from that first film. That's a Broadway-style number and a bunch of Gotham's madness for some weird reason with characters breaking into song. Hey, you know, if I was reviewing a movie, can you imagine if I randomly went, "You ain't never had a friend like me" during one part of it? If I kept breaking into song, to sing an Aladdin song, like, "You never had a friend like me," or "Arabian Nights, Arabian Day," or sing a bunch of random Disney songs when I was reviewing a movie or something like that, or during the middle of a live stream, it'd be like that. Because they just randomly break into song, like, they don't sing original songs. Sometimes they literally sing songs that were already done by better artists. Like, yeah. That's not what we want to see in a Joker movie. Like, for those who maybe did want, you think maybe they continue Arthur's flight descent into chaos, or if you're going to include Harley Quinn, you think maybe it would be about them trying to escape Arkham? Or, like, yeah, and they go escape Arkham, go into Gotham, maybe explore a little bit more of, like, setting up Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, like that last shot of Bruce Wayne we saw in the first film. You think maybe they'd be about that? If you're gonna do a sequel, don't you think maybe you should be exploring that stuff? But Todd Phillips didn't want to direct a DC movie, so he directed this so he could kill it off. Which, that's gonna come up later. Oh, trust me, they're gonna be hearing swearing at that part. The first hour is just pointless, just a snooze fest, and the first hour is basically just Arthur in a prison, and then the rest of the film is literally this fucking court trial. Nothing happens in this film, pretty much. The second half is pretty much that stuff, and you keep grandly cutting to awful music during a bunch of scenes when they could have actually did something right. Yeah, this is definitely an example of a fuck you to a film that was great. And here's the thing, though. When they confirmed Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, that I didn't mind. I wasn't angry about that, because, like, I love Lady Gaga as an artist, and I love her as an actress. And Star is Born, House of Gucci. So I didn't mind who was casted as Harley Quinn. I didn't mind that. I didn't really mind that at all, as some people clearly did. Right there. To me, honestly, like, more of the problems with this movie are all Todd Phillips. Todd Phillips is kind of the one that kind of caused all the problems with this movie. And Warner Brothers. All we focus on this film, like, instead of, like, focusing more on them, on Joker and Harley, he focused on pretty much Arthur Fleck getting beaten and tortured by guards throughout the film. Despite the fact that we saw that in the first film, that was kind of what's supposed to be leading up to him descending into madness and becoming the Joker in the first place. That was the plot of the first film. That was kind of supposed to happen in the first film. This one, they just repeat that again with no build-up whatsoever. Like, yeah. A lot of stuff from the first one's forgotten about. This one. So anyway, how do we start off this damn film? I have like 14 minutes in this review. We start off with some random Looney Tunes sequence for some weird reason, where this cartoon of this Joker, his shadow is leaving him, and it acts violent and takes his place to perform on a TV show, and bans him on stage, and then 3 police officers arrest him. Yeah, pretty much like this Looney Tunes intro. Like, I'm surprised, like, Bugs Bunny and Daffy didn't come out saying, "All the chill, turn the lights, this is it. The law will heist will hit. Oh, with the show, this is it." I'm surprised they didn't put that in there. I'm surprised Todd Phillips didn't put that in there. We just needed that. That was all we needed. But then after that, we get to the real movie, where Arthur Fleck's in a hospital, is in Arkham. He's awaiting trial for his crimes. You think he would have been sentenced by this rate. Apparently it's been 2 years. And his lawyer, played by Catherine Keener, is arguing that Arthur suffers from identity disorder, and Joker personality is responsible for his crimes. Then one day at a therapy session, he meets Harley Quinn, who claims she grew up in the same neighborhood he did, had an abusive father who died in a car crash. And then that got imprisoned after she burned down her parents' apartment building. And then Leah expresses that she admires the Joker's crimes and personality. Yeah, pretty much Arthur Fleck in this movie just goes back to the Arthur Fleck we saw in the first bit of the first one before he became Joker, where he's still ridiculed and humiliated and emasculated. He doesn't have agency in this one. He's just there at the events that take place all around him. And when he gets his moment, when he does get his moments, they just end on such stupid decisions. Right there. It's like Todd Phillips. Yeah, you could tell Todd Phillips didn't want to do this, so he decided to basically only do this movie if he agreed that he could basically kill off the whole franchise before it even begins. Because I don't want to do any DC movies. So I want to kill this whole franchise off. So if I can do the sequel, can I kill it off? Thanks. That's what. This whole movie it's so boring, no story, no development, musical scenes that just come out of fucking nowhere. And the musical numbers in this movie, they are forced out of place, or even singing songs that have already been written. Some of the songs aren't even original. And they don't have much to do with the plot at all. And they disrupt the narrative, and they distract people from the atmosphere. Generic and forgettable. They don't add meaning to the story, and the musical style clashes with the dark subject matter that we saw in the first film. We better be focusing on stuff like that. And beyond the musical elements, Joker 2 suffers from a lack of good storytelling. The plot's predictable. There's no good developed characters. Literally, when you have cast members in this movie, you have Brendan Gleeson playing this prison guard that acts like an annoying jackass. Yeah, basically they waste Brendan Gleeson in such a goofy-ass role, where throughout most of the film his character asks, "Hey, you got a joke for us today?" or throughout the whole entire film. Yeah, basically dressing up in a prison guard suit, acting like a big fool. Yeah. And when they try to be intense, they don't capture the intensity and depth of its predecessor at all. So one day during a film screening, after Arthur Fleck gets back and he's seen that they want to sentence him to death, and he randomly starts singing "For Once in My Life" by Stevie Wonder for some weird, because it happens throughout the movie. Just randomly sings that. I don't know which was honestly a big face palmer. So yeah, Lee starts a fire during one session, and so they both try to escape, but they obviously get caught, and Arthur's placed in solitary confinement. So then Lee visits him to say she's being released to avoid his influence, but promises to attend his trial. And then during an interview on television from Patty Myers, this character Arthur seems to leave through the TV screen that deepens her love for him. And then, of course, that's when you get the trial that hogs up half of the fucking film. And that's where you meet our other Batman character, Harvey Dent. That's the one Batman connection you have in this movie is Harvey Dent and Gotham. And Harley Quinn. That's all. He calls witnesses who dismiss Arthur's claims of insanity. And then during a break, Marianne reveals that Lee was actually this student that grew up in the Upper West Side, and her father is actually still alive. And she committed herself at Arkham and checked herself out and never burned down any apartment building at all. So, I thought this was supposed to be Harley Quinn, so this Harley Quinn's not a criminal? Is actually, apparently of all people, it's actually supposed to be the Joker's girlfriend, and even his partner in crime. This Harley Quinn is actually just really a dishonest scam artist. So that's it. Wow. Not a good written Harley Quinn right there. At all. So then Arthur confronts Lee. She confesses her lies were an effort to get close to Arthur, but tells him that she's pregnant from their night together and moved into his old apartment building to create a home for them. Like, this is already such a disaster of a work, like, that can never be imagined. Like, throughout the film, all you get is, like, the first film, you actually got stuff. You got a plot in this film. Stuff actually happened. Nothing in this. Just Arthur in prison, being bullied by guards, going to therapy sessions, and then going to court. No, like, Joker scenes, or no Gotham crimes, or just going to court. And randomly singing a bunch of weird fucking songs. And the songs are so dull and out of place. The acting is pretty good, but you can tell there's barely a script with this thing, and not really a true film. Like, he had this dark, gritty masterpiece that explored the depths of mental illness, and right there. You don't really get that here. And turning a serious drama into a musical is such a risky move, and it doesn't pay off. And usually musical films, they need to require strong songs that connect to the film's plot, and a well-crafted narrative to be successful musicals. Joker 2 doesn't do any of that. You get forgettable songs, you get just filler or just random whatever the fuck we're supposed to know what's happening, and a weak plot. Like, now when it comes to the performances, the ones that do stand out, Joaquin Phoenix still gives a solid performance. Lady Gaga actually gave a decent enough performance for a weak Harley Quinn, and actually, yeah, like Lady Gaga did, and Joaquin Phoenix did fine for what they were given. I'll give them credit for that. I mean, they weren't bad. The rest of the cast, like, they're the two that did good. The rest of the cast is just underwhelming. The actor they got for Harvey Dent barely feels like Harvey Dent. Brendan Gleeson was there to act like a goofball in a prison, literally this prison guard constantly asking Arthur Fleck if they got some joke for them, and the supporting characters are just one-dimensional. They fail to make a lasting impression. The supporting characters in this, even the ones that did not have the screen time, they actually felt like they had a significance to the plot. Murray Franklin had significance to the plot. So, like, the fake friend at work, Randall, had a somewhat of a significance to the plot. Just about almost every other side character actually felt important to this movie. Right there. Yeah, and also, and this, don't forget, some of the CGI they use is also not even great either. This whole film. So, anyway, when Arthur Fleck goes to trial, he decides, like, during the trial, like, once Sassy beats his character from the first one comes back up and mentions that she had to move away with her daughter, move out of Gotham. Yeah, because obviously, yeah, so that obviously confirms that Arthur Fleck did not kill her, because I don't think Arthur Fleck would kill them. They didn't really have anything to do with his descent to madness. It's like, during that, he even mentioned that there was apparently a made-for-TV movie based on Arthur Fleck's crimes, and apparently someone played her in it. And so they moved out of Gotham. That's what happened. If you want to know what happened to Zazie Beetz' character in the first film after the events of the first film, during this trial, Arthur decides, you know what? My lawyer's fired, and I'm going to represent myself. That's already one of the stupidest moves Arthur does. Right there. So then, of course, after that, after firing his lawyer, and that next day of trial, the last witness that comes in is Gary Puddles. Right there. So okay, sorry I'm frozen for a second. Like, you want to know what happened to Gary after he witnessed Randall dying and after he got spared? So apparently Gary, after that, he didn't see Arthur on TV because he was at the police station all night, and apparently Randall's murder traumatized him so much he could not come to work. He could not go to work at that place Arthur got fired from because he was way too freaked out and thinking Arthur Fleck was going to kill him, was going to eventually kill him. Even though it was clear in this movie, like Arthur said, you were the only one that was nice to me. You could go, I'm not going to hurt you. Like, Arthur made it clear he's not going to come after him. Arthur pretty much made it clear that he was never going to kill Gary. But being traumatized from witnessing someone being murdered in front of you by that person is understandable. Right there. Like, yeah. I did kind of feel a little bit of sadness for Gary at that part. But then, of course, like, during the whole part with Gary, like, Arthur is kind of affected by Gary's testimony, and he offers no defense, although during his speech, he does mock the Arkham guards, and reveals that they abuse him. So after that trial shuts off for the night, he goes back to Arkham. The guards are pissed off. They take him to the showers, and they basically strip and violently rape him. One inmate is mad about this, and tries to confront the guards on what they did. And the guards basically strangle him to death off screen. And Arthur literally listens to all this, and then so during the closing, the very last day of the trial, when the verdict is about to be out, Arthur decides, you know what? I'm not going to be Joker anymore. I take full responsibility for my actions. Joker's just a fake personality of mine. Lee and some of his fans are all mad at this, and they storm out. And then, of course, once the jury decides to read the verdict, unsurprisingly, we declare Arthur is guilty. But just as they're about to read the verdict, though, a bomb goes off outside the courthouse. Just about a lot of the attendees are all killed or injured. Half of Dent's face is scarred, like we didn't see that coming, because he's going to become Two-Face. But they're never going to touch up on that because this movie bombed, so we won't get a third one because Todd Phillips wanted to kill the whole series. Two of Arthur's fans, they help Arthur pretty much help Arthur escape. I'll get to the finale in a little bit, but here's the thing. Like, I really hope that after this, like, Warner Bros. Is leery of the money they give Todd Phillips for any future films. If they even let him direct any more future films with them. Yeah. Like, easily. Like, there's, like, what was the point of this? Like, does anybody win this movie? Nope. Like, nobody won when they made this film, that's for sure. The first film, it's like they wanted to rely on cheap tricks to make a point, when this movie didn't. Like, this film was actually realistic. It was grounded. It was gritty. It made Arthur Fleck's descent to madness actually feel real and haunting. Right there. It's like this one. Why did we make this real and haunting? Let's make it more fantasy-like. So yeah. But just imagine if they turned this in a musical. It would feel like such a disconnect from what really would have made the movie powerful. Can you imagine if the first one was a musical? It would be awful. They don't even continue with any of the same intense atmosphere. Like, you can just tell the filmmakers we're not interested in making a good experience or telling a compelling story. Like, and the thing is, like, when it comes to Joker and Harley Quinn, there's supposed to be a brutal, chaotic kind of love relationship that that's known for a lot of Batman fans. Here, it's just a half-baked romance that feels like a marketing ploy to make people go see the film, and that failed because nobody went to see the film. And Arthur and Harley's dynamic is just pretty much shallow like water from when the tide's at the beaches in the morning. There's no emotion. There's nothing compelling about their narrative. The climax is such a mess. Just some random character. You just put some random character that's there to meet a bloody end because apparently shocking violence is what we try to need to do as a last minute resort because we're already lazy enough. Like, and okay, if this whole movie wasn't bad enough, I've already talked much about the film. Now let's get on with the way this film ends. God. It's all led to this. This finale is one of the worst fucking endings I have ever seen to a movie. So after the two followers help Arthur escape, they hide him in their car, and they mention, we're gonna burn down Gotham tonight. All of your supporters are gonna burn down the city. But then Arthur, in a traffic jam, escapes from the car. As police are kind of trying to look for him, he wanders through Gotham City, and he encounters Lee outside his old apartment. Is like, hey Lee, we could go run off to the mountains together. But she's like, no, we're not running off. You rejected your fantasy, so I don't want to date you. Yeah, so all the lawyers' warnings about her were true. You rejected your fantasy. That was all just part of that. And because you rejected your fantasy, we're not running away near, and we're not going anywhere together. So I'm leaving you to get arrested. Later. So she leaves him to be arrested, selfishly, and the police apprehend Arthur Fleck and they bring him back to Arkham. So the next day, when he's pretty much there for life, one guard's like, Arthur, you have a visitor, let's go. It's clear there's no visitor, because later some young inmates who apparently is supposed to be our original Joker, apparently what some people think is supposed to be our actual Joker, apparently, this inmate guy. But honestly, you know what? This young inmate should have just been played by Todd Phillips himself, because you want to know why I say that? Because how this scene goes. Hey, can I tell you a quick joke? Well, it better be quick. Okay. So the psychopath goes in a bar, and he sees this clown there. Famous clown there. And he's like, I'm disappointed you. I used to watch you all the time. And the clown's like, hey there. And the psychopath tells him, can I buy you a drink? And the clown's like, you can buy me anything. And the psychopath says, how about I give you what you... How about I give you what you fucking deserve? And then guess what? Takes up a knife. Goes to Arthur. Stabs him in the stomach. He's dead. Lies on the ground, and he starts singing again, and the guy's just laughing, and he carves this in his mouth. Arthur bleeds to death on the floor, and Arthur Fleck is dead. The end! Roll credits. This version of Joker's over. Forever. No ending. No plot. Not even a clear plan whatsoever, just an ending that basically goes, fuck you, and oh, by the way, fuck all the people who love Joker. Credits! No, guys, I'm not kidding around, I'm not making up lies. That's literally how this movie ends if you have not seen it. I'm literally being dead serious. That is literally how the movie ends. Right there. Arthur Fleck rejecting his own Joker self, the very purpose he found in the first film, which was the purpose of the first film in the first place. Like, and many people are right. It's like as if Todd thought, what? you all love Joker for the wrong reasons, so I'm gonna make this sequel, and I'm gonna kill him off then. Like, yeah. Right there. Oh my god. Like, so guess what? Now when you watch the first film, remember when Arthur becomes a Joker, gets beloved by all those protesters on the car, and he does that to his face at the end of the first film? And he finally found his purpose in life? Nah, he's gonna throw that all away, waste that opportunity in court trial, and then he's gonna die alone in a dirty prison getting stabbed by a sociopath. So pretty much Todd Phillips just took a shit on his own successful blockbuster from 2019 that everyone went to see. Guess what? With this one, nobody went to see it. He only made $50 million domestically, only $200 million worldwide on a $200 million budget. This movie's ass got kicked into the curb by Terrifier 3 on its second weekend, which is fucking embarrassing. Which was probably so fucking embarrassing that an unrated horror film kicked this movie's ass. So, yeah, like, honestly, and then again, to be fair, regardless if it even made money, Todd Phillips said he's not doing any more DC films, that he ain't doing a third film. So this ending ain't a shock. Well, guess what? I could care less if you don't direct any more DC films, because honestly, Todd Phillips needs to retire at this rate. This guy learned nothing from the Hangover sequels, which did not work. Hangover 2, gross, dirty rehash of the first film, just set in Thailand. Hangover Part 3, let's just randomly become a Taken movie and become a thriller for some weird reason. Yeah, we're not rehashing the first film, but still. Basically not even a funny movie. Then of course he got a success back with Joker. And then Joker got a sequel, which was just a bleak, no hope, depressing musical. The first one was a bleak film, except the difference was the first one was still an enjoyable story. Arthur Fleck was a character you could sympathize with, you could like, you could feel bad for. And you could definitely reason with his descent into madness, because the world around him treated him like shit. Right there. So you're kind of not really there wasn't really supposed to be a good or bad guy in that movie. Todd Phillips just learned nothing from the results of those sequels, and he repeated that again with this movie. Just don't direct another sequel ever again. Just direct standalone films, and that's it. Now, do I have good qualities for FOLIE DEUX? Well, Joaquin and Gaga, like I said, they did pretty good in their roles, despite some of the bad material Warner Brothers gave them. Warner Brothers and Todd gave them. So their performances weren't too bad. They still did a pretty good job with their roles. And I did kind of feel a little bit of sympathy for Gary in the scene with Gary at the trial. But other than those, Joker 2, this can kiss my ass. Third worst movie of the year. I might as well just call this the Alien 3 of DC movies, because it literally feels as bleak and nihilistic as Alien 3, despite all the songs that keep appearing. Like, this is a year where 2 comic movies are in the top 3 for the worst this year. Second place is Madam Web, third place is this movie. However, Borderlands is worse than both those films, so that's still number 1. Because the difference is, Madam and Borderlands have no good qualities. This has 1, and that's it. Other than those, yeah, Joker FOLIE DEUX is complete horseshit. So in the end, guys, Joker 2 is totally horseshit that should be tucked up by horse trainers, thrown into a dumpster, burned on a neighbor's porch like Billy Madison. Anyways, guys, that's it for my epic rant on Joker 2. If we're going to rate Joker 2, here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, you love that amazing first film? Well, guess what? Never go an inch near this disgrace of a sequel, because all it does is take a massive horseshit on everything great about that first film. And if we're going to rank Joker 2, I'm going to give Joker 2 a 1 out of 10. Alright, here we go, guys. That wraps up that epic rant for Joker 2. Now, I want to know in the comments down below your thoughts on Joker 2. And for those that think I'm just randomly criticizing this film, if you love this movie, that's fine. But don't think I'm just gonna overly bash this film because I think it's cool. No, guys. No, guys. Like, actually, literally, this is a film everybody hates. Like, just go to all the scores. Literally, all of them are negative. All of them. Like, the cinema score is negative. The IMDb score is negative. Even I don't like paid Rotten Tomatoes, even their score is negative. Literally everybody's scores for this movie are negative. Nobody liked this film. And I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a buck of Razzies. Or nominated for a buck of Razzies next year. Because it really is that bad. Till then, guys, that'll be it for this rant. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to Don G. Corleone.